this is Matt with Let's Talk Music. I'm here with Austin from Pretty Awkward out of Seattle, Washington. How we doing out there, man?
I'm pretty good. A little gloomy. Got my coffee.
So we was just talking before the audio kind of went out about you playing some streaming or some living rooms or
Yeah. We've been like doing as much as we can during this whole time, with being in a band
Mhm.
and the lack of shows and all that stuff. But yeah, we've been fortunate enough to like we got a cabin later on in the summer and just like filmed us performing some of our songs that we do live. We did like kind of a stripped version of the songs.
Right.
So it was like worrying about miking up all of our drummers' drums and getting all that audio super pretty. We just got them on a drum pad and got acoustic guitars and all that stuff. And yeah,
Yeah, so almost an unplugged version.
yeah, totally, definitely a little bit more plugged in than unplugged. So,
Right.
but yeah, it was just like we like to call it like our alternative versions of the song. So it was a lot of fun to do that and kind of get creative with those things. But we're definitely more than ready to get out there and play safely.
Yeah, I understand. It is kind of tough right now. We've had a few local bands play some clubs around here where it's kind of you go with a group of friends, you get a table, you're all socially distanced. It's not the same as just going to any concerts anymore. And my God, I hope that's over soon.
Yeah, right.
So, how did you guys meet? I mean, how did the band start?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because I like couldn't hear myself. Um, so Nicholas and I have known each other the longest for sure. We grew up in the same neighborhood. Um, we were like in a bunch of different bands in high school and stuff like that. Um, and even out of high school. And we've just like our bands had always played shows together and stuff like that. And
Right.
well, so we've known each other for quite some time. And then in about I think it was like December of like 2012, my old band recorded a record, and the producer of that record brought up the idea of me playing guitar and singing at the same time, and I was like,
Mhm.
"Nah, I don't want to do that. I want to sing, man." And so it's
Yeah.
like too much work going on there. So
Right.
I hit up Nicholas and I was like, "Hey, man, do you want to come play guitar? Like, I know you play bass normally. Like, he's just naturally a bass player." But he was totally all about it and came along for the ride for the rest of that trip on that band. And it ended in about 2015. But during that process, we kind of found that we do a really good job writing songs together.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it wasn't too long after like he started playing with us that we just started writing, and then really dove into that in 2014, 2015. And then when that project was over, we just decided, all right, well, we're just going to get in a room, lock ourselves away, and just really hone our craft of songwriting
Right.
and um, just write whatever we feel. Like, not really going for like a direction, because that band, it was kind of like in a hard rock world,
Hmm.
which we had a lot of fun with. But every time that I sat down to try to write something of that vein, like it just wasn't. It didn't sound authentic enough. It sounded like I was trying too hard.
Right.
We just went with the whole like, let's just write whatever. And once we started doing that, things started to feel a little bit more authentic and feel a little bit more like, oh, this makes sense. It's comfortably coming out rather than something that's forced.
Right.
Yeah, like towards the end of 2015, our guitarist joined up with us, and we'd known him from his previous band and touring with him and all that stuff. Um, and so we just kind of rocked it, the three of us, for a while. We initially called ourselves Golden Wolf before Pretty Awkward.
Hmm.
Um, and we played a couple of shows. I think for about actually the first like year and a half that we were a band, we didn't really play any shows. We just wrote, like we just practiced and stuff,
Yeah.
and just wrote songs, stuff that we liked. And yeah, we went and we started playing a couple of clubs, and we had one of our buddies playing drums with us, and he was more involved with his own solo project and stuff like that. So we eventually found Damien, our drummer now, 2 weeks before our first headline gig.
Oh
And
wow.
we didn't have a drummer for that one, and we were like, oh, what are we gonna do? So this guy rolls through and just pulled it off. Like he never played a click live, played to a click track, a metronome,
Hmm.
and didn't tell us about it, but pulled it off.
Nice.
Yeah, told me about it. Told me about it actually the day after the show. He's like, "Yeah, that was my first time playing Click Live," and I was like, "Whoa, that's stressful." So, but yeah, like we've all just kind of known each other from just different bands for like the last 10 years, you know. So it's been kind of cool to see like the circles kind of come full.
Yeah. So now you say that you guys kind of used to play rock. Now you're more alternative, correct?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like we have like, I mean, we grew up with 90s music, so it was like very different, you know what I mean? Like you had like Goo Goo Dolls, and then you had like
Hmm.
you had Eminem, and you had Blink 182, and there was just so many things happening that I feel like all of that now, like we're just taking all of that and putting it together, you know.
Right, right.
Mhm. Um,
So, just out of curiosity, was there any meaning or reason, that the band chose Magnuson Park for the video for Board?
no, other than like the cool like megalith things that they got out there, that's super rad. Like just it like I feel like I like took a bike ride through that
Hmm.
park like when I was like 12, and I don't remember seeing those things at all. And yeah, when myself and the director went out to scout the location, he actually had a whole other part of the field or of the park like picked out for it. But then I saw those things and I was like, well, that's kind of whimsical and cool, and to find out like the history of it all and stuff. But yeah, it was pretty cool. Like it's a cool looking spot.
So, like, you guys look like you had a little bit of fun making the video for Misfits.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
mean, do you guys like, to ride and skate and stuff like that, or I mean, is that just what you threw into the video? I mean, is
Oh
that
no, that's definitely us. That's definitely our personalities. Like I'd say our bass player Nicholas, he errs on the side of caution most of the time, so he won't go too extreme with sports things.
Mhm.
So that's why he's on the bike.
Right?
Like he's safe. Um, but no, Damien's our drummer is a little bit of a daredevil. He's loves skateboarding. Like he's the only one that I think. Well, actually, I think Jake can do kick flips too. Maybe all three of them can do kick flips. I can't. Like I just ride on my longboard and I cruise, but that's kind of like one of my things that I do. I'll ride a bike or skateboard or whatever just to get out of
Right.
the type of thing. Yeah.
So where does your musical inspiration come from? I mean, you just kind of, you know,
Hodgepodge
s-
of things.
right, just sit there and think about different things and kind of just put it down on paper and
Totally. I mean, like overall, like the inspiration is just life, right? Like
hmm.
stuff and things. Like we all go through stuff, and it's either cool stuff or it's shitty stuff. And
Yeah, that's true.
writing down, So that, and put a cool drum beat to it, some chords to it. All right, sweet. Like we definitely love like our like old school like punk rock influences, like the Addicts or like the Casualties, and
Hmm.
then like we listen to like kids of the 90s, So then all the alt rock from the 90s, from like Nirvana and Foo Fighters to, like I said, Goo Goo Dolls, Sixpence None the Richer, like Alanis Morissette, all that stuff. And then even all of our hip hop. Like I loved like underground hip hop back in the day, like Living Legends and Scarab and Murs, and just love the vinyl, thick kicks and like deep snare sounds and stuff. And then even
Right.
all of us like were into like the hardcore thing too. So it's bands like Comeback Kid and Champion, and I mean it's just there's kind of a lot of places to come from. So it's really, when we're writing a song, we kind of like take it as it goes. Like, all right, what fits here with this thing, kind of like a
Right.
so.
Yeah, because I mean, Seattle there for a while was a huge outlet for, the grunge era and alternative music. And I mean, it's I guess nice to see something different come out of that area.
Hmm, definitely agree.
So I mean, so like I understand you guys have your music being played on a radio station in California. How's that feel?
That's pretty neat.
Pretty neat.
Yeah, totally, man. Like it's cool. I mean, like if people are into it, you know what I mean? Like that's super dope. Like,
Right. So, like, have your tours, are they usually like West Coast or do you branch out some? I mean, you ever come out this way to Ohio or?
definitely plan to. Actually, I played Columbus with that band Pop Evil back in the day.
Oh,
We,
yeah, yeah.
we played like what's the big theater out there? I can't remember what it's called, but I think it's got the second floor.
Oh, Newport Music Hall.
I believe that's what it was. Yeah, that
Yeah,
place was beautiful and crowd surfed. Oh my god. And I went
yeah. That's actually one of the oldest, uh, longest continuous running venues in North America.
really.
Yes, sir. It used to be the Columbus Agora.
Like, we can look forward to playing that when we come back out there next time.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I mean, what I mean, what are you guys looking forward to after COVID? I mean, you want to get out and just jam, or I mean, you going to do some more writing, or
Yeah, I mean, we're always writing, so that's kind of like it's kind of an addiction that won't go away.
hmm
Yeah,
and honestly, I think that this time right now, with COVID, actually gives bands a lot of chances to sit down and write some really good material because I think a lot of times it's always a rush deadline to get it done, and now it's kind of relaxed, and I mean, it's I feel like the guys that I've talked to, they're taking their time and writing great music.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I'm definitely not feeling the pressure of like, okay, we got to write a song a week. You know what I mean? Or
hmm
every other couple of days. And it's been cool to like really dive into like the production side of things, the mixing side of things, and that way we can get it to translate properly from what we feel and what we hear, in our
Right. So how about your fan base? I mean, you guys got a pretty good touch with your fan base.
so far. I mean, like it seems like the internet's really helping us out with that, which has
Mm.
been really cool. We just recently did like a Now's takeover, and so we were able to see some numbers go up there, with interest in people checking
Yeah,
us
that
out.
was the Now 76, right?
Yeah, yeah, which crazy to be on. Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it really it's like, it kind of takes one thing to get you going.
right,
So,
totally. And especially during this time right now, like I mean, like you said, like I mean, we want to just tour, you know what I mean? But
mhm.
right now it's kind of take everything that you possibly can so that hopefully new ears can hear you and get the music going.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I actually really enjoyed the videos that I watched and listened to. I mean, like I said, Misfits, I thought that was just kind of a, cool, relaxed video. And I mean, the words, the lyrics really kind of speak, you know what I mean? I mean, that's kind of a lot of people feel like Misfits and, you know, looking to kind of just say, hey, F you,
Yeah.
So
Some
now, do you guys actually have any misfits in the band? I mean, who's the misfit? Who's the awkward? Or
I feel like we all are in like some weird way, like in our own like little yeah. I don't know if you've noticed yet, but I'm pretty fucking awkward myself. But
man, you seem fine to me.
no, I mean like I do my best to try to keep it up. But um no, I think we're all weird. Like
Yeah,
it takes a certain type of person to be like, all right, I'm gonna do music for a living.
that's actually what I would have liked to have done. That's why I'm doing what I do now. Is I figured since I couldn't play it or sing it or anything, I would just talk to musicians and kind of live through them vicariously.
Which is dope. Like, and I like enjoy like talking to everybody that like Ed's hooked me up with, and like it's been really nice.
Yeah, Ed's a good guy. He's actually helped me out a lot. I mean, he gave me the red jumpsuit apparatus, Zero Theorem, and you guys, and yeah, I mean, he's helping me out a lot. So I mean, it's I can see how this isn't like your typical in-depth interview. I'm still learning, but it's called Let's Talk Music, so it's more about talking about music and about your music, not like when did this happen? How many views do you have? that
Yeah,
that stuff isn't really appealing, I think, to a lot of people.
yeah. Especially when you want to talk about like the context of the music and the
Right.
experience and the lifestyle and all that stuff, which is really interesting right now.
Yeah. So speaking of the context of the music, I mean, what's one of the biggest things you like to write about? I mean, like what kind of the awkwardness, the misfits part of it, or do you just kind of like try to put out the happy vibe like with higher?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely want to like promote a happy vibe. You know what I mean? Like I definitely want to I don't want to make music that makes people angry.
Well, yeah, there's enough of that.
Well, I mean, I want to make you sad, but like in a good way.
Hmm.
But no, I mean, for me, man, like there's like those songs that like it takes a lot for like a song to really like make me cry or make me excited or make me feel like something like, man, I've never heard something like this before. And so I think that's always kind of the thing that you strive for as an artist is like you just want to like keep pushing for the thing that you haven't heard before or something that you haven't maybe brought yourself to feel or just like an idea that makes you feel. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
yeah, I like coming up with like just ideas or something. Like if I can think of something that'll make me cry, like that's gnarly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's kind of an interesting like I've definitely had a couple of ideas, just one idea in particular recently that like moved me to tears and I was like, I know that'll probably be good because it's making me cry. Like I'm feeling something from it. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
just it's so simple, but it's just I guess we don't think about it all the time, or at least I know I don't think about it all the time, but
Hmm.
it's 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 really interesting. So it's like I'm always I'm always out to kind of capture a moment, not necessarily I don't think I've ever really been the kind of writer to like tell this story over time of like this guy walking down the train tracks, then he hops on the caboose to Detroit and then finds his love of life in Detroit and then is pulled away by some addiction down to Tennessee and then he's jamming on a guitar back down. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I
that
just
kind of sounds like a country song.
absolutely. I mean, it could be that, or it could be who knows the next coolest pop song.
Right.
Like it's just like I mean, now that I've like said that out loud, I'm like thinking maybe I should go write that. But yeah, I don't necessarily like write that way. That's not necessarily my style. Like I really sometimes I'll just think of like how somebody made me feel. Or
Hmm.
I'll think of like how I'll overanalyze things and overthink situations in my head and
Hmm.
then get something from that. You know what I mean? Like there'll be like one of those like an idiom that could be relatable, and then kind of branch off of that idiom and then see where that kind of takes me, like it's all very like it's not very like thoroughly planned out, I
Right.
feel like it takes a bit. Sometimes I mean it's just the chorus. Hey, I got this fucking hooky thing. I got this hooky thing,
Hmm.
kind of goes from there and kind of like dance around that, you know. But I definitely feel like we do our best to like make bass and drums like we want you to feel, the
Right.
sound coming out. I want you to feel the music. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I might be going in circles on that, but
No,
yeah.
I understand, man. I'm with you. I mean, I there's a lot of times that I'll be listening. Like, well, the other day I was listening to Hair Nation and on XM, and that was the kind of music I grew up on. And I mean, there was just a couple of songs that I was like, wow, it took me way back, and would make me smile or whatever. I mean, there's songs I hear that give me goosebumps. You
Mhm.
know, that's why I love music so much. I feel like it's a worldwide language. You
Yeah.
know, you can relate to it in any way. I mean, whether it's an instrumental or if it's just a pop song or even just a downright crunchy hard song that just in some way inspires you. I mean, that's the great thing about music.
Yeah.
So I
No,
mean, that's kind of where I feel like you and I would click on a nice discussion with that, because I mean I do. That's how I love music.
yeah. No, it's funny. Like my dog, I had a dog and I loved her to death. Like she was dope. She passed away like a about a year ago, a
Sorry
little
to
over
hear that.
months. They do that. They don't live as long as us, man.
But it's kind of like losing a kid,
Dude, totally. And especially like when it happens really fast, you know.
hmm
Uh, yeah, it was a little heartbreaking, but like, and I did my best to like get into my emotions and just let myself cry and just get it out as much as possible. But dude, it sounds silly, but that Maroon 5 song, the "Here's to the ones that we love," da, 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 what is it?
Oh,
You or Memory or something like that.
memories. I think it is.
Yeah, dude, that song, as soon as I found out that like, oh, this song's about like their manager and he passed away and all these things, or I believe that's the story that I heard. And then just really listening to the lyrics and like learning the song, as you listen to it and singing along to it, like, dude, I was like started crying. And I was like, "God, there hasn't been a song like this in a minute for me." Like, and it's of
Yeah.
course like you got all these like different life situations that relate to it, but it was just cool because it's like one of those reminders of like, all right, this is why I do this, so that I can eventually, hopefully, make somebody feel the way that I'm feeling right now with a song that I write. So
That is probably the greatest explanation I've ever heard from an artist. Congratulations, because honestly, I mean that is great that you want people to not just only listen to but to feel your music, and I think that's very important when it comes to getting out there and doing it. I mean, because there's a lot of bands, like, I mean, I'm not going to name names, but I mean, they'll pump out record after record after record, and it's just a bunch of like studio written, maybe record company written stuff that just means nothing. And then you got bands like Tool or somebody like that that takes years and years to come out with an album, but when they do, it's just phenomenal.
yeah, takes
You
10
know
to write an album.
what is it?
10 years to write an album.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I really respect the fact that you pull off of that inspiration from a song, and you're like, that you feel like, hey, I want somebody to feel like that from my music. And I mean, I'm sure that there are people out there that do. I mean, you just haven't met them yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and back to the whole what to write about, like having those, like you were saying, you were listening to Hair Nation, and it kind of brings you back to the like capturing that thing, whatever that thing is. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
nostalgia, that memory, or whatever it is, to somebody that I've never met before, listening to a track, going, "Oh, this reminds me of skateboarding with my friends when I was 12," and it's like, I live on the other side of the country, never seen you before. You know what I mean? Like that's cool as shit to me.
Oh yeah.
Like that we can do that to each other. We can trigger these memories, we can trigger these things, and then have that relation be like, "Ah, okay, you get me, I get you. We're just living."
Yeah, and I just that's what I mean. I'm really enjoying talking to you because I mean you're on a level that the same kind of level with me is where I just like with all the ugliness and hate in the world, it's like you can connect with people through music in so many different ways,
Yeah. No,
and I think a lot of people don't realize that. I think that more of it's just like, oh man, I heard this booming tune the other day, or these guys, get the drummer man, he was flying 90 mile an hour. It's a lot of people out there are feeling the same way you are. You're like, and I think that's one of the reasons I'm trying to create my website is I want it to be an interactive website where people can connect that feel the same way about music like you and I do.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's like I said, I mean, I really enjoyed the song Higher, and I really enjoyed the song Misfits. I mean, it that they speak to you.
Thank you. That's awesome. Yeah. Those are definitely some of my favorites. I love these songs that we're putting out right now. Like they're staples in like what started this project. Higher, we wrote Higher like at the end of 2015 when we were starting this whole like idea.
hmm
Okay, well, we want to do this band, we want to do this thing, and we want it to be cool. Like I said, we were called Golden Wolf before we were told, okay, well, Golden Wolf has been taken by so many different artists and different variations of spelling or different ways of being said. So it's probably best if we stay away from that, brand infringement or whatever that is.
Right.
Um, and then it took us like 5 months to come up with a name. And I was just smoking weed on the way back home from LA when we were writing songs. And there's like a couple of these ideas, and I kind of just started laughing really hard when I was like thinking of the concept of like, oh, if we went out on stage and said, hey, we're pretty awkward, like you have this whole idea of like a band is supposed to be so cool. They're like the cool,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, oh man, those guys, like, they bleach their hair, they wear mohawks, they got spikes, all that stuff, like just cool.
Right.
But if I just made fun of it every night for the rest of my life, that might work too. So yeah, just coming back to the whole pretty awkward thing. And then I remember bringing up to Nick actually, because he was driving, and we were both thought that was pretty funny considering like the other like 400 names that we came across. But
Well, I
just
mean, that's cool that that one stuck.
yeah, just from I'm so glad that it stuck because it fits perfectly. And like, yeah, it's it definitely helps kind of, it's kind of one of the, it's similar to me, it's similar to like writing a song. Like sometimes I'll just have all of these lyrics and I'll have the verse done, I'll have the chorus, I'll have everything done, but not the title. um and sometimes it's not like I necessarily want to use the hook as the title, that's the easy way out for me.
Right.
But sometimes there's just those songs that's like, I don't want to use that because that's too easy of a way out. Like, what is this whole thing talking about? And like the fact that we wrote Higher about 5 years ago now.
Hmm.
We wrote Misfits about, I would definitely say about 4 or 5 years ago. Um, and obviously they were revisited with us and a couple of producers and stuff like that, and we kind of revamped them and stuff. So that was like very helpful, very cool. But just from beginning to end, or beginning to where we are now, I should say, is like, yeah, it's a really good way to encompass the journey, is that it's just pretty awkward.
Well, I mean, and I think like honestly, when I first heard you, the your voice, I kind of, it put me in mind of a boy band, and then I saw the video and I was like, okay, not the, no offense, but I mean, you just have that,
Oh
that
man,
young.
the next Backstreet Boys, I'm totally okay with it. That's fine with
Yeah, I mean, it's just you have that young sounding voice. I mean, it's very clean. It's not, it's a great voice. I really do enjoy it. I mean, but
I'm excited
it's,
when you hear me go angry, so that'll be fun.
oh, you go angry, do you?
Oh yeah, I'll definitely go angry. Like, I'm not going to demonstrate because that's just too much for me right now. But
Right.
like, yeah, no, I like to do everything.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's um, I think it's one of the important things is that you keep your options open. You don't stick to one area. You kind of, and with a voice like yours, if you can, get in the low parts, or obviously the high parts, or even the growling or whatever. I mean, that's, it's constantly evolving, constantly changing, and I think that's what keeps people interested.
Keeps me interested, like, I don't know. Yeah, there's some bands that I was really, really into when I was in high school. And then there's bands that I still love today, but it's like the ones that I find myself still like attached to, like Foo Fighters, for example. It's like they continuously like evolve. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like they're constantly evolving. And so yeah, those seem to be the artists that I definitely come back to, and I'm listening to the thing that they released last week and the thing that they released 20 years ago.
Right, right.
I definitely do my best to try for that.
So what's I mean, what do you guys see in your future? I mean, I understand with the pandemic and everything is kind of hard to tell, but I mean, do we have any, like, after all this crap's over with, do we have like a big tour going on? Or are you looking to get on like something like Vans Warp Tour or something?
I would hope the biggest tour on the planet, like just have everybody come out. I don't know where we're playing yet, but we're gonna be there. No, I mean, like, yeah, I just just playing like nonstop. I think, and I've told a lot of other people this too. I feel like everybody's going to come out of this with like a renewed, refreshed appreciation for live music and for live events. And
Oh yeah.
you know what I mean? Like being able to go out after work and just release at a rock show. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if we were taking that for granted before at all, we're not going to be after this. So
Right, right.
it'll be nice. Like, yeah, I'm I'm excited.
It's all over social media. I mean, people are dying to see concerts. I mean, out here we have what was Rock on the Range, now Sonic Temple. And I mean, it was just a huge letdown. I'm part of that community on Facebook, and I mean, people just threw a fit when it canceled because of COVID.
Yeah.
And then we have Incarceration, which is at the Mansfield Reformatory, if you remember right. Shawshank Redemption was filmed there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's just all these different great concerts we have every year. Just I mean, it's sad.
I know. It's a bummer.
So, but all right, man. Well, I appreciate you talking with me. And if you guys are through Columbus, Ohio, I will get with Ed. Would love to sit down with the band and do a live interview. That would be great.
Hell yeah.
So, all right. Well, we will talk at you later, and you guys keep jamming.
Hope will do, man. You have a great day, and thank you again. Appreciate it.
Thank you for talking to me.
Yeah, man.
All
Take care.
right. Bye.